Welcome back to the Artisan of Glimmith. We've got a handful of them to go here, including one that's hiding behind this tree. We've got Gemini, which means we must have the same shape and area number. That has to do that. Now that means I need an L here, which has to do that, and here, which I know is going to take that, but I don't know. Well, this is going to do that, so this has to do that. Now I have an L here. That could do that, and that would also satisfy that, which this one needs to do anyway. This has to not take the 4, so it takes the 3, and that does that, to make a complete area. Let's see, this 3 can't take that, because then this 4 couldn't do anything. So this 4, if it takes that, it still has to go here. And here. So the 4 definitely takes those two. And might take that one, or that one, or that one. If the 4 took this one, it would be an S shape, which would not be compatible with this. So the 4 does not take that. Now, if the 4 took that, that would put an S shape here, which also doesn't fit. So it doesn't take that. So there's an L here. Now this one right here could just be that cell on its own, and then it would take that. This, however, has to be an L shape, which means it must do... Ooh, it could take... It could take this and that, or it could take this and that. It couldn't take this and that because this 3... I don't want... Give me different colors, okay? There. This 3 has to do at least a 3 of things. Now, this 3 can't take that. And it can't take that, because the other side of it can't be a 3. So, these are just individual cells. This 3 can't take the 4, and this is part of an L, a 4L. So that 3 is that. Now this one has to be that, so it's going to do that. If this 4 were to be an L that went like that, then there'd be the same thing here, and that wouldn't work. Therefore, this L does that, and then we get this L to finish it. Now, let's see where we are. We can go up here on these rocks. The same shape on both sides. They are 10s. 26 blocks in the entire board. Well, we can do that and that. And we know that these have to expand out to be 10. This, well, these are not going to fill the same area, but this is going to take an area that is compatible with that. If what we have here is 17, let's get rid of that to count, to get the 18 count. That means there are 9 on each side. And each of these is a 4, which means they need 5. So 4 plus 5 leaves exactly the 4 remaining for this. I'm going to say that they do that because this can't reach up there. That one could, but they have to be the same shape. And we know that this is going to take up everything on this side. Assuming it doesn't cross over to the other side. That is something I'm assuming right now. Now, it actually, how does that work? Five, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, it can't take that. So if this takes all of that, no, that doesn't work either. So what if it doesn't take that? That'll be a problem. That is a big problem. Ooh, okay. I'm gonna pull those back. If this is here, that means the 10 doesn't take that. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That is not... That doesn't work like that. This, however, has a gap of 3 here. I could remove that. Let's get a slightly straighter line there. that. 3 there. It makes it a tall S. And that. This shape and that shape are the same. One of them is flipped over twice or rotated. If you were to take this, if that cell were this one, then it would match. Or, yeah. So that's the way that works. And then this fills in that, and this fills in that. And everything else just fits together. There. We can come down here. Area number shows the area of a region. We have 32. That means that there are... How many, though? There are overlapping numbers. There's numbers that are showing the area of a region that other numbers are also in. Like that 4 could be there. It could do that. This 5 could do that. The 6, it isn't quite enough for the 6s to all be in one region. So, 4 plus 5 plus 6 is 15. 15 and 15 is 30. There isn't room for another 4 or 5 or 6. That means that 4s must only, there must only be 2 4 shapes, only 2 5s, and only 2 6s. And that leaves 2 spaces to be filled in. So how, that's the wrong tool. There. We can do these. How does this all fit together? This one right here, in order to be 6, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There. Now the 5 has to come out here. This 5 cannot connect to that 5, so this 5 must connect to that 5 because there's not room to have another one. This 6, it might take that, or this 5 might take it. But after the 6 takes that, that's 2. It'll be 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the 6 has to take all of those. It might take that, or it might take that. It can't take that because this has to come out here. It's quite possible that that 4 takes that. Because this 5 has to come out. It needs to get bigger. So this 4 can't reach. Yeah, okay. And this 5 has to be 5 in size, so there. So that 4 does that. The 5 must take that now. The 6 takes that. And that finishes it. What are you doing up here? Huh. Ooh, okay. Area number. There's a 5-sized region here. Rose window. Each region contains exactly one of each symbol, which means there are only 3 regions, and a polyomino telling us that whatever region crosses this has that shape. Well, it's definitely not that intersecting with that. Because this is... How many is that? 11? That 5 takes that. Let's see. There are a lot of things this could do. If it did this, it wouldn't be taking any of the roses, so that's no good. If it did that, yeah, that's what I just did. If it did that, it wouldn't be doing this. If this were to take that, how could it possibly... Yeah, that doesn't work there. I think that being here, if it touches the bottom, it has to be on the side. So I don't think it touches the bottom, because by doing that, it avoids all of these. It can't do that, because it takes 2 of the roses. It could do that, taking just 1 of them. That, I don't see any problem with that. Let's see here. 1, 2, I do see a problem with it. Okay. The problem being that this 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 has to take 1 more than that, but cannot stop all of these and all of these. From joining with that. So that isn't that. I don't think that's gonna work. Like this. Because all of this does need to touch one of these. And this 5, if this 5 could get up to here, that would solve all the problems. But that's 6. That is not 5. Now, if this were up against the wall like that, that creates this region right here that doesn't have any of these. So there does have to be a gap. There must be a gap in it, but it's not that. And it's not that. For lots of reasons. What about this to here to that and then to here? Now we just need to have a 5 region that does not block this off and takes only one of these without blocking the other. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And if this takes that cell, it works. We get a Y pentomino here that takes that. This one takes everything else because there's no restriction on it. So this one does that. This one does that. And this one does everything else. Let's do that to speed it up. Okay, we have this. Where's the window for that region? Here. Okay, so it looks like I've got 2, 3 more here. 4 more. Ooh, there have to be at least 7 more. There's probably, yeah, there would be some that haven't unlocked yet because I haven't completed the 34. Okay. Let's see. Do I have an easy one? Let's take that one. Okay, mingle shape. Neighboring regions must have different shapes, and area number shows the area of a region. So this 4 does all that. It might take that. In fact, no, we don't know that it definitely does. Neighboring regions must have different shapes. Okay, yes. If this region were to take that this region would be exactly the same. Therefore, that's not what happens. This does that. Then this one does that. This one does that. Now that one is there. We have that 3 and that 3. Now this right here cannot be that 3 because it would be an I. And this one right here also can't be that 3 because it would be an I. So this 3 does that. Now that 3, it has to be an L. And then this 2, I don't know which way that 2 goes. This is just that. I know that this 3 is going to take that, but I don't know if it's going to do that or that. What we need to do is, okay, if this 2 were to go here and take that cell, then this couldn't be a 1 or a 2, and there would not be room for it to be anything else. Therefore, that happens. This is a 3. Now, if this 2 were to do that, that could be a 1 and a 1, but that would be 2 1s next to each other, which can't happen. There. Now, if this 3 takes that, we get a 1 here, which is okay, and a 1 here, which is okay. I'm going to try one more. Rose windows. Okay, this number must take, okay, that one right there. If it were to take that, it couldn't reach. If it were to take this red, it couldn't reach a blue because it would use all its 3 cells to get there. Therefore, that cell, that 3 must take that. I don't know if it takes that or that, but it does take that. Okay. This, let's see. The 6 has a lot that it can do. If this 4 were to take that or that, it could not reach a circle. Except that circle, which it's not allowed to take because the 3 has to take it. Therefore, this 4 does not take that or that. If it took that, it also couldn't reach any circle. Therefore, the 4 must take that. Now, it's going to take that or that. I don't know which. This... Ooh. That needs a square. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it can't have that one. And it can't get to that. So this 5 must be taking that. Which means the 3 is going to do that. Now for the 5 to take one of the reds, it can go to there or there or there. I don't know. If okay, if the 4 were to take that blue, which it must, this 4 must take that blue because it can't reach any other. If the 4 were to take that, that would be closing off these two. These two cells could not be part of any region because every region, each region contains one of each symbol. Therefore, this 4 does not come down to this. It goes up to that. Now, this region has to take that. I don't know what size it is yet, but that means this 5 does that. Now I know that the 4 is going to take that. Okay, this 6 needs a circle. It can't have both of that. It can't have all of that. So it's going to have to take that. That's 4. And that's 5. And we got to take that in order to not have that one isolated. So now these two cells are going to be part of this unnumbered region. The 5 here, 3, 4, 5, like that. And if that were to have taken this instead, that would be another isolated cell. This 4 can just be that, and there it is. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.